Hello, children. I welcome you to the first session of the chapter The Mughal Empire. The Mughals established a huge empire. Babur, who defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat, marked the end of the Delhi Sultanate and the beginning of the Mughal Empire. So it was Babur who marked the end of Delhi Sultanate and the beginning of the Mughal Empire. Now, Babur was born in a small place called Farghana. He lost his father at a very early age. At the mere age of 12, he became the ruler of Farghana. Babur tried to conquer Samarkand, this place from where the the place to which Taimur belonged, but he failed. Then he conquered Kabul. The Lodis were ruling over the Delhi Sultanate, and the local people were not happy with Ibrahim Lodi because he replaced the old nobles with the young nobles, and so they invited Babur. He was lured by the wealth of India and decided to conquer India. And he used sophisticated weapons like cannons to defeat Ibrahim Lodi. Then in 1527, in the Battle of Khanwa, Babur defeated Rana Sanga of Mewar. Then he defeated the Afghan chiefs at Ghagra. And Babur was able to rule from Himalayas to Gwalior, from Indus to Bihar. And Babur was able to secure northern India and he died in 1530. Babur was a learned man who knew Persian, Turkish, and Arabic. Babur Nama gives a lot of information about Babur. Then Babur was succeeded by his son Humayun. Humayun had three brothers, Kamran, Hindal, and Askari. Humayun's life was full of problems. His brothers were against him. And Humayun was defeated by Sher Shah Suri and Bahadur Shah, Sher Shah Suri of Bihar and Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. And Sher Shah defeated Humayun in the Battle of Chausa and Kannauj. Actually, first Humayun won, but then his own brothers were against him and they joined hands with Sher Shah, and then he lost in the Battle of Chausa and Kannauj. Then the Afghan king Sher Shah Suri, after defeating Humayun, annexed his empire and Humayun became a refugee and escaped to Persia. In Persia, he was welcomed by the Persian ruler and he spent 15 years there. Then Humayun made Kabul his base, but then he was determined and he once again attacked. And he was able to get back the throne of Delhi. But then he could not enjoy his success for long, and he soon fell from the stairs of his library and died. The library was called Sher Mandal. Then, if I talk of Sher Shah Suri, he was the founder of Sur dynasty. He was also an Afghan Jagirdar. He was the son of an Afghan Jagirdar from Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh, and his real name was Farid Khan. He was later on called Sher Shah because he was very brave, and it is said that he could kill the tigers. And Sher Shah, though, was a very great ruler, but then his successors were really weak, and so the Sur dynasty did not last for long. And after the death of Sher Shah Suri, Humayun got Delhi back. Sher Shah had a large standing army. He also branded the horse like Alauddin Khilji. Sher Shah was also involved in welfare activities. He got this famous GT road, Grand Trunk Road built, and it starts from Songarh in Bengal and passes through Lahore in Punjab and ends at Multan. So he was greatly involved in welfare activities. Abbas Sherwani wrote about Sher Shah. He was a generous man, and he also gave orders that anybody who is hungry should be fed from the king's kitchen. Trade and commerce flourished during his period. He introduced a new coin called rupiah, and it is said that he was impartial. Then he got the Purana Killa, old fort built in New Delhi, and the tomb of Sher Shah at Sasaram in Bihar is another example of architecture. And after his death, he was succeeded by his son Jalal Khan, who took the title of Islam Shah. But then Jalal Khan, like, see, his real name was Farid Khan, right? He took the title of Sher Shah. Then his son was Jalal Khan, who took the title of Islam Shah. But Islam Shah wasn't able to consolidate this vast empire. Then, after, if I talk of Humayun's death, after Humayun's death, see, Islam Shah and the success were really weak, and Humayun was able to get back Delhi. But then Humayun died untimely, and then Akbar was very young, but then Akbar became the ruler. And Akbar's regent was, or the guardian was, Bairam Khan, who guided him throughout. Akbar defeated Hemu in the second battle of Panipat. In 1560, Akbar ended the regency of Bairam Khan and he became independent. And if I talk of Akbar, Akbar was a tolerant ruler. That is why he is known as Akbar the Great. He was a compassionate emperor. He did not insult or humiliate the Rajputs after defeating them. He found that the Rajput warriors were brave and loyal, so he allowed them to rule the territories even after he defeated them. And in return, they had to give him certain money and they had to help him in his campaigns. And he entered into matrimonial alliances with Rajputs. He married the Rajput princess Jodha, and then besides this, Akbar met and Akbar allowed Jodha to practice Hinduism after marrying her. Akbar met Raja Bharmal or Bihari Mal, the ruler of Amber, and he married his eldest daughter Harka Bai, and he allowed his Hindu wives to enjoy religious freedom. And many Rajputs were given high post under Akbar's administration, like Raja Bhagwat Das, Raja Man Singh were his most trusted officials. Raja Man Singh, uh, as described by Abul Fazl, was one of the right hands of Akbar. Now, there were certain states like Ranthambore and Jodhpur who refused to submit to Akbar. Akbar was shocked when he heard about jizya, and he removed jizya, a tax which was imposed on non-Muslims. And his palace was a hub of celebrations where Eid and Hindu festivals were celebrated. Akbar respected all religions, and he believed in sulh-i kul, that means universal peace. And there was Ibadat Khana in his palace, Ibadat Khana, where the scholars were invited from all the religions to discuss the good points of the religions. And Akbar never tried to convert any of the prisoners into Muslims. So earlier the prisoners were converted into into Muslim. They were forced to embrace Islam, but he discontinued this practice. He celebrated all festivals like Deepavali, Raksha Bandhan, Basant Panchami. He allowed building of temples, and Akbar got the holy books of Hindus like Ramayana and Mahabharata translated into Persian. Akbar believed in sulh-i kul, that means universal peace. This is very important. And Akbar wanted to combine all the good points of different religions, and so um, he invited the scholars in Ibadat Khana where they discussed all the religions, all the good points of the religions, and then he decided to introduce Dini Ilahi. That means he wanted to introduce a new religion, which was actually the sum up of the good points of all the religions. It is also known as Tawheed-i Ilahi. And he believed that there should not be any priest, any place of worship, any rituals. It should be just the goodness and the good spirit. Dini Ilahi did not become very popular because very few people accepted it. Birbal was the only Hindu who joined it. Even Raja Man Singh did not accept this, but Akbar did not force anyone. So Dini Lai was actually his concept of combining all the good points of all the religion. And then in October 1605, Akbar fell seriously ill and died at the age of 63, and he was succeeded by Jahangir. Now Jahangir tried to consolidate the empire he inherited. Now Jahangir faced lot of problems. First, Jahangir faced challenge from his son only, Khusrau, and but then he was able to suppress it. Then Jahangir was also like his father. He ended the conflict between Mewar and Mughals. He defeated the ruler Rana Amar Singh, but allowed him to exercise control over the territory. He did not humiliate him. He also subdued the Afghans of Bengal, but then when he tried to capture the Deccan states, he was not very successful. He was not able to capture the Deccan states. And then he wrote Tuzuk-i Jahangiri, his own book, his autobiography. Then Jahangir married Mehrunissa. He gave her the title Noor Jahan, or the light of the world. She was extremely talented, intelligent, and beautiful. Jahangir always took her advice once he was not well, and so Noor Jahan managed the affairs of the empire, and he issued coins in her name. Then there was a lot of problem between Jahangir and Prince Khurram, uh, because Noor Jahan always wanted the son-in-law Shahryar to succeed the throne after Jahangir, and Prince Khurram was against it. We will discuss about the rest of the chapter in the next turn. Till then, take very good care of yourselves. Thank you and have a great day ahead.